All of us chant Omkara. The word Om has been chanted every single time you start your practice or you're in your practice. And there's a particular way in which you chant. Let's today understand what Omkara is all about. See, the word Om is also described in the text of Yoga Sutras. What is the sutra? Tasya vachaka pranavaha means the word Om is nothing but a symbol of creation itself. Pranava here means God. The symbol Om is a representation in the form of symbol for what? For God. Who is God? The Creator. But what is this Om? How is this Om chanted? And if you think about it, or if you've heard about it, the word Om is a combination of A, U, and Ma. Akara, Ukara, Makara. That is A, U, Ma. When these three A, U, Ma combine together, join together, the sound Om comes into existence. A, U, and Mo, A, U, and Ma chanted together, we chant Omkara. See, all of us have, and what does this mean? What does this Akara, Ukara, and Makara mean? What does this even have a meaning? Definitely yes. See, we exist as humans. We say we are individual consciousness, the Pindanda. We are awake, we sleep, we have dreamless sleep, and we have a state beyond that also. In the Upanishads, there's an explanation where it states each one of us have three different states of consciousness. Jagrat Avastha, the wakeful state, like I'm awake now, Jagrat Avastha. Swapna Avastha, the sleep state. Sushupti, the dreamless state. And Turiya, which is beyond that. Akara, Ukara, Makara, A, U, Ma, these represent different states of consciousness. So when you chant Omkara, it's not just because you're chanting it and because it's a symbol of God and it's there in the religion. No. You are invoking these three states in you. What are these three states? You are invoking the state of wakefulness. You're invoking a state of sleep. You're invoking the state of sleeplessness, dreamlessness, and you're awaking a state that exists beyond this. The word akara, which comes in the first part of Om, represents the state of being awake. We are awake now. I am awake now. The eyes are functioning, the limbs are functioning, everything is functioning. We are awake, but are we alive? That is important. Being awake, our eyes are wide open. We are seeing everything. But are we alive? Are we even in that moment? In order to bring this sense of awareness, okay, you are awake and you're actually awake and you're alive. In order to bring this sensation of wakefulness within you is why we chant Akara. It comes from here. When you chant this Akara, you awaken the intellect. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. And all this is there in the Upanishads when you start reading the texts. It's there even in the Yoga Sutras also. For you to feel awake, for some people, as soon as they get up from the bed, for them to feel awake, they drink a cup of coffee. I do this. Why? The mind is awakened. This is the first state of consciousness. What is this? Jagrata Avastha, the wakeful state. And this wakeful state is represented by the symbol A and the sound A. What is the second state of consciousness? Swapnavastha, the dream state. All of us dream. I don't even want to get started with that. Endless dreams. And we won't even realize that we are in the dream when we are in the dream. This dream state is what is represented by ukara, u, which is chanted as oo, and you extend it also. This state of yours has a name, has a sound. What is this? This is ukara. And the third state, sushupti, dreamless state. Sometimes you sleep and you never feel like that you have slept for 10 hours, and you wake up, you feel like, okay, you're more energized and more rejuvenated than you ever are, than you ever have been in the last 1 month or 2 months, 1 year. This state is called as sushupti. What is sushupti? Sushupti is a state where you close your eyes, you fall asleep, you dive deep within yourself, you go into the deepest sleep ever imaginable, and there you become one with everything that is there around you. There is no disturbance. You do not exist with respect to the physical body, do not exist with respect to the mind, intellect. Everything is void. Everything is standstill. This state, the dreamless state, is what we call as sushupti, and this is also something you will experience in deep shavasana when you've practiced asana. When you've done a practice for 1 hour or 1.5 hours or 2 hours, or an intense practice for 40 minutes, and then you do shavasana, you will lose consciousness. This state, very briefly, you can call this as sushupti, a dreamless state. So this dreamless state is represented by ma, which is usually chanted at the end of omkara. Akara, ukara, makara. Together combined is what we have omkara. Jagratavastha, the wakeful state. Swapnavastha, the dream state. U, dreamless state. Makara. A, U, ma. Combined together, we chant the word omkara. And then, by understanding this, what does each means, what does a mean, what does u mean, what does mean, you'll have a deeper understanding. Once you have the deeper understanding, chanting omkara makes more sense. Every day you sit and chant om, 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 and this, you can't connect, you're not even connecting to it. What is om? Om, the word, the symbol om that you chant is beyond these three states. See, we are awake, we are experiencing the pleasures of the world through the senses, or the sense of taste, touch, smell, sight, hearing. And we sleep, we have endless dreams. And we sometimes sleep, there's absolutely no dream. But there is a state beyond this also. What is this? This is what is Om. Is represented by the word Om. What is Omkara? Omkara is the symbol. Omkara is the sound that helps you connect to a state which is beyond all these three. I'm sure you can connect to this. We are awake. We are dreaming. We are sometimes not dreaming. We are in a completely deep sleep state. But don't you think there's something even beyond these three? And if you think so, you're right. What is it that is beyond these three? That is Omkara. So why do you chant Omkara? So that you disengage and disconnect yourself from all these three states. Akara, Ukara and Makara. And you also have to remember a fact. The chanting of Omkara is actually restricted only to the monks, the renunciates, the one who has the people who have taken up the vow of sannyasa, the ones who have disconnected themselves from everything that's there around the materialistic world with respect to the materialistic world. Omkara, the symbol of Om, is the chanting of Omkara is only restricted to them. But we do chant it sometimes. Even I chant it on a regular basis. Why? I may not, At least by doing this, we will reach that state. We may not be able to completely disconnect from everything that is there around us, because you will have responsibilities with respect to the family, with respect to the work, with respect to a number of things that you have to attend to. At least by chanting this, a sense of belongingness comes within you. How and why? Because you will start to realize, okay, there's something supreme, there's higher energy that's beyond me, and you start to connect to it. Honestly, the chanting of Omkara is completely restricted to any commoners, anyone who has not taken up the vow of sannyasa. And for them, that is where we chant the Omkara by splitting it up into three different parts. A, U, Ma. And usually, what is the best way? What is the actual way of chanting Omkara? You have to stretch the Makara longer. I said A, U, Ma. Akara, Ukara, Makara combined together is Omkara. So this has to be chanted in a ratio 1:1:2. A, U, M. The end of Omkara. This has to be stretched. Why? As I said, by chanting this, by stretching the Makara for a longer duration, you will help yourself to reach a state of dreamlessness. As I said, you're awake, you're dreaming, and there's a state which is beyond dream, which is what we call as a dreamless state. By regularly chanting Omkara and by stretching this last part of Om, the Ma, when you stretch this, you start to induce this state of dreamlessness within you. Who wants to dream? Maybe once a year or once in 2 years or 3 years. But if you keep on dreaming every single day, it causes a lot of disturbance in you. You lose sleep. You won't feel fresh. And ultimately, it is a dream. Why wouldn't you want to live in reality? And I don't think any one of you want to live in this world of dreams and dream state. No. Why? Because ultimately, it's just a dream. You may feel happy for some time, but when you wake up, you feel really tired and exhausted. I usually tell a lot of my students and my friends, I hardly dream. It's very, very rare that I get dreams. Very rare. See, if you do the work that needs to be done, if you do all the activities, all the practices to keep yourself physically fit, mentally sane, and once you have the clarity, you close your eyes, you'll fall asleep. If you have hundreds of things to break your head about, and every single day you've been carrying these garbage in the form of thoughts when you go to sleep, instead of getting rid of it, and this has been continuing for years and years together, never ever expect yourself to have this clarity about oneself. There will always be disturbance in the sleep. Understand this. So why you chant Omkara? This is why you chant Omkara. So that you free yourself from the state of being awake, from the dream state, from the dreamless state, and reach beyond that. But if you're someone who's been suffering from insomnia, you have trouble going to sleep, you have trouble even getting a good night's sleep where you feel well rested the next morning, that should be your top priority first. For those who've been already practicing this, for them sleeping is not a problem at all. Go beyond it. See what exists beyond sleep. Sleep is not the end. If sleep itself is giving you so much of happiness, think what happiness you will get if you go a step ahead. And if you haven't thought about this, start thinking about this. Is there something beyond sleep? So because I've seen so many people derive happiness from sleeping 10 hours, 12 hours, especially when you're young. I mean, just have you thought about this? If sleeping is giving you so much of pleasure and happiness, there has to be a state beyond sleep which gives you 10 times more happiness than this. Don't you think so? If you haven't, start thinking about this. So this is what Omkara will guide you towards. And that is why we chant Omkara. I hope this was informative. If there's anything you want to share, if there are any questions, please feel free to share them in the comments. I'll try my best to answer them. If you want to know more about a lot of things with respect to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, you can check out the links. I'll try my best to share as much as possible and simplify things so it's very easy to understand. I'll see you in the next one.